segregated within the army. That's not supposed to have an impact on us. After having fought to help make the world safe for democracy, black men came back to this country, and the ones targeted for lynching, abuse by the police, were the ones who dared to wear the military uniform, and some were lynched in their military uniforms. In the United States of America, with liberty and justice for us, which is a so-and-so lie. And you white people don't understand anything. Maybe this will make you understand, because the man who uttered this was a decent man, and he was a tough man. And I know that because he says so. I'm going to read. I also want to speak very frankly about an extremely important subject. Among ourselves, we will discuss it openly. In public, however, we must never mention it. I mean the evacuation of the Jews, the extermination of the Jewish people. This is something that is easy to talk about. Quote, the Jewish people will be exterminated, unquote, says every member of the party, meaning the Nazi party. Quote, this is clear. This is in our program, colon, the elimination, the extermination of the Jews, colon. We will do this, period, end of quote. And then they come to you, 80 million good Germans, and each one has his, quote, decent, unquote, Jew. Naturally, all the rest are pigs, but this particular Jew is first rate. Not one of those who talk this way has seen the bodies. Not one has been on the spot. Most of you know what it is to see a pile of 100 or 500 or 1,000 bodies, to have stuck it out, and at the same time, barring exceptions caused by human weakness, to have remained decent, colon. This is what has made us tough. This is a glorious page in our history which never has and never will be written. Speech by SS Reichsfuhrer Heinrich Himmler to a meeting of SS generals in Posen on October 4th, 1943. These Nazis, the SS operated the death camps, the Schutzstaffel. Their emblem was the death head, the skull. They were all decent people, and they were tough. They were tough, decent people, and they were Nazis. They had to kill the Jews. They had to exterminate them. Somebody had to do it. They were the Untermenschen. They didn't deserve to live. And when you're dealing with vermin, you exterminate them. And all these people who want to come to us and say don't do it, they haven't been on the spot to see what this exterminating looks like, to participate in it, to hear the cries, to smell the burning flesh, to watch the people in the throes of death from poison gas, to see trenches called graves and bodies bulldozed into those trenches. Some of the people still alive. Cover them with earth. They don't know what it means to watch and see an orange glow coming from the smokestacks of the crematoria, knowing what is burning. They haven't seen it. They are not decent Germans. They are not tough Germans. They're not even good Nazis. But we, the SS, the master race, the representatives of the master race,
who must get rid of the inferior ones who happen in our country to be Jews. But we're going to do our part. And another one named Adolf Eichmann, who looked like a clerk. He wore glasses, a man of slight build. He didn't have heavy, dark eyebrows that met above the bridge of his nose. His lips did not curl into a snarl. He looked like any person you might pass on the street any day going to work to take care of his family. But he was one of the orchestrators of the final solution. And the final solution was to rid Germany of all the Untermenschen and wherever else you find them where the Germans have dominance. And you think these Jews, knowing that history, would honor a statue of Himmler, Goebbels, Kaltenbrunner, Hitler? And then we listen in this country as black people to that SOB in the White House lauding the statues of these racists who stood for a society that raped our women and raped our girls and slaughtered our men, burned people alive. You condemn the Nazis? Don't condemn the Nazis. You've got those kind of people right here, and you make heroes of them. And that SOB in the White House wants them to be heroes. But finally, the military has twitched. Finally, those men, because the chiefs of staff are always men. They've always been white men up until very recently. Had been in combat, had faced the enemy, had risked death, had killed others, and knew what the oath was that they took to defend this country against all enemies, foreign or domestic. Knew what that oath meant. Did you say time?
1 minute, Senator.
Knew what that oath meant and took it seriously. And they do not believe, and they've made it clear, that military installations where young people are brought to train to be soldiers, so if necessary they would carry out their oath and kill for this country and risk death for this country. They didn't think these places should be named after the men who did all they could to destroy this country, waged a relentless war that resulted in hundreds of thousands of deaths of these Americans. And that SOB in the White House says, don't change the names, don't get rid of the statues, and he wants to get power to punish severely anybody who would attack one of these statues of these racist people.
But you're next in the queue. You can continue.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I'm not going to carry this on all day unless somebody makes a motion that I won't be with you after January. And you need to hear some things that you're not going to hear from anybody other than me. But here's the peculiar thing about it all. You know every word that I'm speaking is true. It has been documented in books, dramatized in plays, lionized in martial music, M-A-R-T-I-A-L. So it really happened. And yet, when I talk about it, you all dumb me up and act like I'm from another planet speaking in a foreign tongue that you don't understand. But you really don't understand in the sense of having incorporated it into your consciousness to the extent where whenever you see that kind of attitude, that kind of activity contemplated or carried out, you'd feel an obligation to do what you could to stand against it. Not necessarily that you go out there bare-chested against people with guns to be shot down. When you can speak, then raise your voice. When you vote, vote for those who are going to try to make the world a better place for everybody. You all have a lot of cliches that you mouth and you teach your children. All that is needed for evil to triumph is that good people do nothing. The original says that good men do nothing. But men are not the only ones who are evil. Men just dominate so they can do evil and send other people to do evil. I think there's nothing heroic about killing other people. I don't care who those other people are or what they have done, because if we had been reared in their society under the circumstances they had been reared, most would do the same thing. The reason I say most, because I see the way black people in this society, many have become disappointed, disillusioned, disheartened, discouraged, dispirited, and give up and say, what's the use? Nothing can be done. But there are others of us who, the hotter the fire, the harder we'll fight. I would say, like John Paul Jones, give me the ship that is the fastest, because my intent is to sail into harm's way. I'm not going to run from any fight. I'm not going to turn away from anybody who is being mistreated, and there be something I can do about it. That's why I speak for Miss Palmtag. And I've mentioned her many times on this floor. I've heard like Senator Groney get up and say a lot. Senator Halloran, not as much, but he talks. Senator Geist, every now and then.
1 minute.
Even my good friend, Senator McAllister, although he hasn't been completely silent on it, he has talked about that issue. I was thinking about offering a resolution just to put the legislators on record and on the spot, but that's not the way I do it. I wrote a resolution saying that Ronald Reagan should not have visited a cemetery in Pittsburgh where they buried SS soldiers, and I was condemned by members of the legislature for doing it. They said I was trying to embarrass Ronald Reagan. No, he had embarrassed himself, and he was embarrassing the country, and I was trying to rescue all of them. That's all that I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Chambers. Are you wishing to withdraw your motion?
Yes.
Thank you, Senator Chambers. Mr. Clerk?